It'll
What?
never,
I got to go to church to
it'll
find
never
Pastor Spears?
change.
That's what I got to do?
You do need church, but
It
no.
will never change. All y'all got to do is say the word. It will never change. Y'all know how loyal I am to y'all.
So
Just
loyal
say the
that
word.
you're in
It'll
Bristol
never
right now
change.
and not New York. But yeah,
You better be available when I call.
I'm in Virginia.
You better be available
Molly.
when I call.
My bad. I'm sorry. All right. Let's
It's a
stay focused,
pandemic out
everyone.
here.
This is starting to get
Okay,
personal, all right? It is a pandemic. It's crazy. Max, how worried should the Saints be now? This isn't looking good for Drew Brees.
They're going to be all right if people are right about the time that Drew Brees is out. If it's 3 to 4 weeks, something like that, they'll be fine. If it's the rest of the season, like if it's something like that, which they're not saying right now, but if it were, that's the whole shooting match. Does Drew Brees even come back? All those things. But if we're talking to 3 or 4 weeks, have you seen the Saints' schedule? By the way, it's not like Jameis has never had any success on an NFL level. He did lead the league in yards.
Here we go. You're going to pick up Jameis.
And touchdowns thrown. Well, I'm saying it's not like he's not a quarterback in the NFL. He's capable of playing quarterback, just not at a super high level. And he gives the other team a lot of points. But he also puts points on the board for your club. They have the Falcons, then they're on the road for 3 consecutive games, but it's against the Broncos, the Falcons, and the Eagles. So I'm going to say, though, they should be favored in all those games with Jameis.
Yeah.
And by the way, as much as we're told by Sean Payton, and on this show he told us, Taysom Hill. Yeah, right. Okay, let's see us start Taysom Hill now. Now's the chance. I don't think they really believe he's a quarterback, but he's an effective weapon. So if you think 3 of those games are on the road, let's say with Jameis you're going to go 2-2. Even though you'll be favored, but you'll go 2-2 in those games. Then you got the Chiefs. You're going to lose that game. Even with Drew Brees, you're going to lose that game. Vikings and Panthers? I don't know. I think you could win 2 out of those 3. I think you probably should. Making you 11-5 on the season, or maybe 10-6. That should get you to the playoffs. And then if you have Drew Brees in the playoffs, and they traded for Quan Alexander, the linebacker, at the deadline, and they have Emmanuel Sanders and a complement of receivers now with obviously Michael Thomas has a crime partner in Sanders, and you have Kamara, you could still win the Super Bowl. So I expect Jameis and Taysom Hill to hold it down where they win as much as they lose at least, give or take, around 500. Drew Brees to come back, and they should be okay.
I'm sorry, I don't view it that way. A matter of fact, I think that the New Orleans Saints are on the cusp of huge change. I mean, you talk about 3 cracked ribs? I don't know the number. I mean, but he's got a couple of cracked ribs at the very least.
Both sides.
And a collapsed lung. And as a collapsed lung, and on top of that all, he's plus 40. Now, it amazes me, Molly, I don't know if you and Pastor Spears have picked up on this.
What?
But Pastor Spears, I think you'll give me an amen on this. Notice how Max talked about the cliff with Tom Brady that ultimately became the ravine. But when it comes to Drew Brees, cracked ribs and a collapsed lung, somehow, some way, you think he'll be fine. I mean, it's just amazing. It's just amazing. But having said all of that, I will say this. I will say this. Here's my thing. I believe this is very serious in this regard, in all seriousness, Max and Marcus. It's serious in the sense that I believe that Drew Brees, there's a question as to whether or not Drew Brees is going to come back sooner than later. And I think if that happens, this is it for Drew Brees. His career is over. He's going to walk away. Because if you've listened to him, if you've watched him with that beautiful family of his, there's only one reason he's playing. It ain't for the money. He's trying to get the chip just like he did in 2009. And if you've got serious questions about your health, this is the kind of situation, correct me if I'm wrong, Marcus, because you played football, we didn't. Being on that football field, having cracked ribs and a collapsed lung. Could you imagine how scared his family is right now? Could you imagine the conversation that he's having with his wife? One of the most beautiful scenes, Molly, one of the most beautiful scenes that I've ever seen is one time when they show video of Drew Brees coming home from practice. And he walked into his house. And his 3 little boys that he had there, and they were all circling around, running around the couch, and he kept throwing passes to each of them. It was a beautiful, beautiful scene. You don't do anything to jeopardize that at this stage in his career. So I'm not saying that because I don't know, but the bottom line is this. If there are serious considerations about his health moving forward, even if he does come back, it might be for one last shot, and then after that, the wife says, excuse me, We got a whole life ahead of us. This could be it for the New Orleans Saints, is what I'm trying to say.
But
That's how serious this is. That's why I say they should be worried.
But he almost retired last year. There was questions whether he was even going to come
That's
back
why I
this
said
year.
it.
So no doubt, I agree that the whole question is, does he get back by the playoffs for this team, or maybe a game or two before the playoffs? Because when I gave you the next 4 games, how they'll be favored in those games, and with Jameis just go 2-2 or something, or 3-1 or something. Then the next game is the Chiefs. I think they lose that game probably no matter what. You could have Drew Brees come back 6 weeks from now just for the Vikings and Panthers. And even if he didn't come back for the regular season, if he had practice time before the playoffs, the fact is Jameis could go 3-4, and they would still have 10 wins on the season. And Jameis went 7-9 last year with the Bucs.
I'm saying the longest it takes him to come back. I'm saying the longest it takes him to come back, the more it's in question whether or not he'll come back.
He'll ever play again.
That's what I'm trying to say.
No doubt, there's a question now. Whether he ever plays again, right? Let's see if he actually comes back this season. But if they're saying 3 to 4 weeks, my point is it could take 5 to 6, and they could still win the Super Bowl this year.
No doubt. He can come back and give them the boost that they need. The bottom line is this: I think Stephen A. makes a great point, and immediately when I heard this about Drew Brees, I was like, he's done. This will be his last year playing quarterback for the New Orleans Saints, and this is the time and the test for Jameis Winston as well. There are so many layering factors, but as far as being in contention this year, can they hold it down until Drew get back? Absolutely. But my concern is also when Drew gets back, will he be well enough to perform like he needs to perform, especially when we start talking about trying to make a Super Bowl run, and we know the mishaps they've had the last 3 years. So the issue is more than just getting Drew Brees back and holding the fort down until he gets back. I want to see if the Sean Payton influence has worked on Jameis Winston as far as him taking care of the football. But more than that, I'm concerned about a 41-year-old quarterback coming back even after he's considered better and healed. Even his mentality coming back and what Stephen A. is speaking to. Like Drew Brees knows, I've made all the money I could possibly make. I am a world champion one time over. I've accomplished everything that I could possibly think I could accomplish after a catastrophic shoulder injury that was supposed to take me out. And now I'm sitting here at 41 years old with the rest of my life ahead of me, and I'm sitting here with cracked ribs and a punctured lung trying to go after a Super Bowl. Like, I know it is, Max, but the bottom line is
the other way to look at those circumstances,
serious issue.
Yeah, no doubt that what you guys are saying is real. That's real. It's a full contact sport, and he's been through a lot. But the other way to look at it is it could have the following effect. This team they have around him right now may give him his best chance to win a Super Bowl. When you consider they brought in Emmanuel Sanders, they shored up the defense at the trade deadline, maybe it's the most balanced team overall that he's had. If he does look at this like, damn, how much longer can I do this? This is it. Then he might view this is my last chance. I got to sell out to do this right now, and you might get the best version of Drew Brees, who, by the way, at the moment is 3rd in the league in total QBR. You might get the best version of that guy.
The one other thing that's very concerning, Marcus, real quick, I just want to say is that we're also dealing with the pandemic you mentioned with COVID, and we're talking about ribs and lungs. It's also a scary time to be dealing with any type of lung injury.
I'm in the vein, listen, I'm with you. All in, want to put it all on the line. I'm in the vein, Max, of can he really go when he gets back? I'm concerned about that. Like, I'm not worried about Drew Brees' mentality or how he's going to attack rehabbing and trying to get better. I'm concerned about if he's legitimately going to be healed enough and have the mobility and not worry about his ribs getting cracked again on the first hit when he gets back. That's my issue. My issue is not can he come back. It's about his performance and his mentality when he gets back, which I think is what Stephen A. speaks to about, well, I might have one foot out the door already. Now this has pushed me to the edge. And will I really be healthy when I come back, i.e. enough to play?
Incredible points. But the other point that I'd like to make is this. You know, usually when we hear about guys saying, you know what, that's it, it's usually a head injury. You know, you get knocked upside your head, too many concussions. I'm not going to deal with that. All right. But the flip side to it is that you get hit in the ribs more than you get hit in the head. And so when you sit up there and you go down like that, and you've got a collapsed lung, like Molly said, during COVID-19 and everything else, I mean, any kind of concerns that you may have had have elevated significantly. And I think that those are the kind of things that we got to be concerned about. I think it's legitimate. I'm certain, because I certainly don't know, but I think it's legitimate to sit here right now and wonder if the Saints team that we'll be seeing over the next few weeks is the Saints team that we'll be seeing the rest of the year.
In boxing, it's called a shot
Without
fighter.
Drew Brees.
A dude who doesn't want it anymore, right, is a shot fighter. What I saw from Drew Brees, and I understand what you guys mean about the mentality, he got up and played. He got up and played with a collapsed lung and fractured ribs on both sides. This dude is tough as nails, and I don't think when he gets back, he'll be a shot fighter. However, this is real. We got to see.
No question, but they got a real squad. Of course he's going for it. They got a